Hi, and welcome back to Domina Chase's Humanistic BDSM. Yay! So, okay, things are a little different. I am back in the Philippines. Fortunately, me and Patrick are now long distance again. Sad. So, full disclosure, we really should have recorded more. It was just difficult. Because we were long distance for so long, for about a year and a half, and whenever we would find some space of quiet, just to be ourselves, as much as we love you, we just really wanted to be in our like happy little bubble and like cuddle and watch movies, sometimes play, but mostly cuddle and watch movies. If you're a patron, there's a link somewhere. And on our Discord server, you know that we have a farm and we have goats and chickens, and like we plan on getting rabbits. Actually, there's rabbits, so go into the Discord server and look at all the new animal pictures. So if you're new here, you'll notice this is just really casual, conversational BDSM. I'm not sure where I'm gonna go with a new series. It's different being by myself. I don't have a Petrick to play off of. We will definitely plan on still finishing How I Met My Sub. But it was just like, it would make us so sad because we're getting to the sad part. We were getting to the sad part of the story, and I was leaving, so it would just make us sad, and then we wanted to cuddle, and then like we needed to like do like aftercare even after like 2 years. So yeah, we celebrated 2 years. So had a birthday in October, and we celebrated 2 years apart. Like I left like a week before our anniversary, but you know, life calls. So let's get started for today's topic. For today's topic, I posted on, if you're not a member, we do have a group on Facebook. It's Domina Chase's Humanistic BDSM, or I mean, Humanistic BDSM inclusive as fuck kink. Yes. Wow, it's been so long since I've said that out loud. I don't post very often. I mostly lurk. I just, you know, here and there. But I did want to talk about something that I had posted. So I will post the link to this article I'm going to talk about in the description. So it was an article from Vice, and it was the story behind this picture that went viral of a young female-looking person. I don't know what I think they use female pronouns in the Vice article, and a male submissive. And if you haven't seen it, like if I was tech savvy, I'd like flash it here, but I don't do editing. We don't do that, right? That's not why you came here. Of a young woman holding a leash as her like human pet crawls on all fours behind her into a grocery store. So this happened in LA at a very upscale grocery store that I've never heard of. I guess they don't have it where I've lived, or I'm not privileged enough to know what the hell it is until this article came out, and I need to itch my nose and see we're being responsible. Don't touch your face, even in the safety of your home, okay? It's COVID. Got a tissue. Anyway. So, I guess this is really cheap. This is so bad. Okay, but like, I don't know if you can see this. Oh, no, that didn't. Okay. That didn't. Oh, okay. Let's do this. Okay, this picture. Okay. I know. I'm terrible. And it just erupted, both vanilla and within the BDSM world, and it sparked a lot of conversation. So I'm going to tell you that this is my personal opinion. This is not the opinion of, this is, so humanistic BDSM, it's more about self-actualization. So I am not saying that you need to believe this if you're a humanistic BDSM practitioner. No, I am just saying I happen to be I'm the founder of humanistic BDSM, and this is my own personal opinion. We don't have dogma outside of safety and consent. So this is where this comes into play. Consent. Me personally, I don't feel comfortable doing really obvious public play, just because I guess I'm cognizant of the fact, like, there might be, children, like minors, people who could be possibly triggered. They might be adults, but they might have had personal negative experiences. You just don't know what the inner lives are of the people around you. I think that for me the nuance here is location, because it's a grocery store. Grocery store tends to be more of an all ages place, from like infants, and the moms that bring them there, toddlers, teenagers, middle age, like granny and grandpa. They're all going to be there. I think that public play really, it makes a difference on, like, really the audience, that possible audience. So I think for me, like, obviously, like, grocery store kind of sketchy. Like, don't do it like at a playground where there's like actively children. Like, I honestly, grocery store, I'm like, okay, sure, maybe, depending maybe on the time of the day. But like playground, that's like all the way here, like, no, what the hell's wrong with you? To on this end, like, besides like BDSM clubs where that's meant to happen, I would say on this end of the spectrum where like it's pretty chill is a bar, like, or even just a regular club, like somewhere where you have to show ID to get in and like prove that you're of legal age, either to like party or drink, whatever the rules may be in your region or your country. Even if you lie about it, that's on you, okay? Like, if you're a 14-year-old who like snuck in there, that's not on the patron. Like, it's not my fault you were in there and you saw shit you didn't want to see. Ooh, okay, this is really shaky. But there's some people who believe, oh, it's fine anyway, everywhere, where, we talk about there's consent. Some people don't like to even, depending on the country, PDA is extremely frowned upon, and not even just kissing, like hand holding. I've traveled internationally, and that's actually something, and I've dated and met people in different countries, and that's actually something that I've looked up on, was like, what are the cultural norms in that society? And it's different, obviously, when you get over a different country. You can just, like, it's like this. Whereas here, like, you can't really Google, like, what does this grocery store stance on BDSM? I haven't Googled it, but I'm probably not going to have very many, if any, results that come out with, like, this is our official statement on BDSM. So why, some of you might be asking, like, why do you do it? Like, there's that thrill, there's that taboo of, some people like to get a reaction out of people. They like to, like, they love the attention. They like to get a rise out of people. So that last one, getting a rise out of people, for me, that's like, that's a little bit like ethically murky for me personally. because people didn't consent. Like, you know, again, if you're at a grocery store, maybe, let's say, I think like in between would be like a coffee shop, depending on how like adult oriented it is, because, well, why the hell are you giving your like 4-year-old like a double shot of espresso? Like, you have way more other issues than that to deal with. That's, for me, I think it also depends on your intention, because I think that all of your type of play, you're going to radiate that. It's one thing if it's just your truth. Some people frown upon, I'm not saying it's the same, let me caveat this, but if someone wanted to openly cross-dress, so in this instance, I'm using the word cross-dressing as someone who is like someone who is cis and outwardly, like physically, more portrays that cisgender and is using and chooses to wear clothing of someone else of the opposite gender. So there's a lot of nuances here. So that this is, I'm using this very specific instance. I don't want to confuse this with someone who is transgender, because they're not cross-dressing. They are dressing according to their gender, okay? So I'm going to use specifically cross-dressing. Ooh! Even clear example. Well, it may be clear. Like cosplay, but then there's crossplay. People who dress as a gender, as a character that is a gender that is not their own. So they would be cross-playing. Okay, so when you have someone who's cross-playing, let's say they're at an anime convention. Anime conventions, an all age thing. There, for me, that's fine, because it's not a kink. They're celebrating the character. That's just what they want to wear. Something that this is their truth. It's not something that they're doing to be, you know, scandalous, hopefully. And I'm talking about like just like normal covered up like crossplay, okay? I'm not saying like we have like your schlong or like your vagina or, you know, your genitals hanging out from the bottom of your costume, okay? That's not cool. Not that type of crossplay. But this is the character that they, you know, when we're talking about an anime convention, this is a character that they admire, that they wanted to play. Some people are really offended by that, like, oh, why would you do that in front of children? And I'm like, no, you came into this sphere, you knew that this happens, that people dress up as their favorite character, and sometimes their favorite character is not their own gender. So what? You know, and if someone wants to cross-dress just because they feel good about themselves that way. A great example is Eddie Izzard, the comedian. I love his line when people ask him, is like, oh, why do you wear women's clothes? Well, they're not wearing women's clothes. These are my clothes. See, that's completely different. They're being authentic. This is something that they want to do. They're not trying to be provocative. For me, that's fine. And that's hard because you don't know what people's intentions are when you see it. But I think that it really does come across what it is, what that intention might be. So for this, it's hard. So to give more context, if you haven't read the article, she did say that the dominatrix in question did say she started out, when she was 18, she was like feeling empowered Lord. Okay. It is, I'm so sorry. This is so good. Basically, it said how, she was 18 years old, homeless, and trying to process the trauma of sexual assault when she read a Craigslist ad for a dungeon. So this is the time to say that yes, BDSM can be therapeutic, but it should not be used as therapy. And I'm not dogging her. I'm glad that she was able to find a useful and fruitful way to process this, and she's making money off of it. She's been doing this for 3 years, but I've got to say that sometimes you will see some, when you are newer in the scene, you have a tendency to just push the boundaries, to maybe not think of such long-term consequences. So something that I would caution you. It sounds thrilling and exciting, and it is thrilling and exciting. You get to do kink, and you get to do it in public, and this is amazing. But there's consequences. Like, someone could snap a picture, put it on Twitter. Now, your boss could see it, your neighbor could see it, depending on how things are in your life. This could really impact you. And I feel like I'm being redundant, but sometimes when you get into that frenzy, because also too, she's a professional dominatrix. So I think that actually adds a completely different dimension, because you're a service provider. It's still, like most dominatrixes that I know of, they're still going to do things that they like, because, well, they're dominatrixes. But there's still, I think there's a bit of, I would imagine that there is a bit of detachment from this is my job. So I think that might be slightly different. Whereas if I was to do something like this is not, okay, I do the vlog thing professionally, but I don't dominate professionally. For me, it would be intensely personal. I would be investing a lot of my mental, emotional energy and my psyche into this scene, and I would be really cautious about that. So long story short, I don't agree with it. I don't think it's wrong. They didn't have any genitals out. They weren't fucking. It's actually very tame. I forgot. They did do paddling outside before they went to the grocery store, which was But let's stick to the whole just walking through the grocery store on a leash, because Patrick and I actually have done something similar. We walked around New York City, with him on a leash, and I was leading him around. But this was New York City Pride weekend, so I think at that point there's just this expectation that you're gonna see weird shit in New York City, and that you're taking that risk. If you take your children out to New York City, they might see something weird, but you don't have that heightened sense of caution, or maybe caution. When you go to the grocery store, you're I just need some milk and bread. Let's just go to the grocery store. And you are just not prepared to, you're not looking around, to see, oh, maybe I need to steer my child this way, or I need to, mentally prepare myself for, this very awkward conversation with my child at the grocery store. I think that's the biggest thing. So it's not for me. I don't recommend it, but honestly, at the end of the day, it didn't really hurt anyone. They were asked to leave. They left nicely, which was great. Kudos to them. Yeah, so what do you guys think of public play? Like very obvious public play. Let me know in the comments if you want to jump in to this conversation in more in depth with me. Make sure to look for us on Facebook. It's Humanistic BDSM, inclusive as fuck kink. If you enjoy this content and would like to have a question of yours answered, personally, you can go on to Patreon. We do have a tier just for that, and all tiers get you access to the Discord server. Okay, I've been bad about it. A lot of like animal pictures right now, but my goal, I just want to let you know that the goal for Hoobidism, as we call it, is to keep the information and the education free. Anything that's going to be behind the paywall is just bonus fun things, just to get to know me and Patrick better, like our life, like what's going on in our heads. So that don't want you to be disappointed that when you get into Patreon, like, oh, I thought I would get all this like cool, exclusive, like never before seen information. That's not what we want. Join us on Patreon because you want to help spread the word of Hoobidism and keep it free for everybody. All right, that's gonna be it for me for today. I will see you next week. Yes, I will try to do this weekly. Thanks for listening to me ramble. Have a great week. I'll see you later. Bye, everyone.